Imagine a smartphone where privacy isn't just an afterthought, where your data is yours and yours alone, where open source principles that powered Linux on desktops finally make the leap to the mobile world. This is the vision behind Linux Mint Phone, an ambitious project that could very well redefine the smartphone landscape in 2025. For years, Android and iOS have dominated, offering convenience but at the cost of control. Every app, every permission, every piece of data is often funneled back to corporate servers. Linux Mint Phone challenges that narrative, proposing a device that prioritizes transparency, security, and community-driven innovation over profit-driven design. The story of Linux Mint Phone is fascinating because it isn't just a device, it's a movement. It represents the culmination of decades of open-source development, combined with modern mobile technology and a growing global demand for alternatives to the duopoly of Android and iOS. Imagine carrying a phone that feels like an extension of your Linux desktop, one that runs a full, functional Linux environment right in your pocket. Unlike Android, which restricts customization behind layers of proprietary frameworks, Linux Mint Phone opens the door to a fully modifiable interface, where users can choose their workflows, install the software they actually want, and contribute directly to the software that powers their device. At its core, the Linux Mint Phone is built on the same philosophy that made Linux Mint Desktop one of the most beloved Linux distributions: simplicity, elegance, and user empowerment. The interface is designed to be approachable for beginners, but powerful enough for experts who want granular control over every aspect of their device. Developers and tech enthusiasts can dive deep into the system, optimizing performance, tweaking the kernel, or even compiling their own custom apps directly on the device. But it isn't just about power users. The Linux Mint Phone aims to make privacy and openness accessible to everyone. Out of the box, the phone comes with a fully encrypted storage system, robust firewall settings, and the ability to control what apps can access, when, and for how long. Unlike other phones, where privacy features are buried in menus or hidden behind expensive software, every Linux Mint Phone is built from the ground up to give the user control. Another revolutionary aspect of Linux Mint Phone is its commitment to long-term support. In an era where smartphones are often obsolete within 2 or 3 years, Linux Mint Phone promises extended support, software updates, and security patches for years. In true Linux fashion, this not only extends the life of the hardware, but also reduces electronic waste, aligning with the growing demand for sustainable technology solutions. Hardware-wise, Linux Mint Phone doesn't compromise either. The device is designed to compete with high-end Android phones, featuring modern processors, ample RAM, high-resolution displays, and cameras capable of competing with the best on the market. What sets it apart is the level of integration with Linux software. Users can run desktop-grade applications like LibreOffice, GIMP, or Firefox in their full Linux versions, not just mobile ports. The convergence of desktop and mobile in this way opens possibilities for a workflow that has never been possible on Android or iOS. Imagine connecting your phone to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and instantly having a full Linux desktop environment at your fingertips. No virtualization, no limitations, just pure Linux performance. This convergence model isn't theoretical. It's actively being refined in the Linux Mint Phone ecosystem. Developers are creating adaptive interfaces that seamlessly transition between mobile and desktop modes, ensuring usability no matter the context. Beyond the software, the community around Linux Mint Phone is central to its philosophy. Open-source projects thrive because of passionate contributors, and Linux Mint Phone is no exception. Users, developers, and enthusiasts are encouraged to report bugs, propose features, and even submit their own software packages. This community-driven approach not only accelerates development, but fosters a sense of ownership and connection that proprietary systems can never replicate. In a world where Android apps dominate, Linux Mint Phone also offers a compatibility layer, allowing users to run select Android applications while maintaining the open-source integrity of the system. This ensures that transitioning to Linux Mint Phone doesn't mean abandoning the apps people rely on daily. For many, this hybrid approach could be the tipping point that makes Linux Mint Phone a viable alternative to traditional smartphones. Security is another pillar of Linux Mint Phone's appeal. Every aspect of the system is designed with defense in mind. The kernel is hardened, apps are sandboxed, and data is encrypted by default. Users can choose to use advanced tools like VPNs, encrypted messaging, and anonymous browsing without third-party interference. In a world increasingly concerned with data privacy, this level of control is unprecedented in consumer smartphones. Linux Mint Phone also embodies the spirit of choice in hardware and repairability. Unlike most mainstream devices that are sealed and difficult to fix, Linux Mint Phone encourages user repair and component upgrades. Batteries, storage, and even processors are designed to be replaceable, extending the lifespan of the device and reducing dependency on manufacturers. The implications for consumers are significant. Not only can users save money over the long term, but they can also avoid the forced obsolescence that plagues much of the mobile industry. The potential impact of Linux Mint Phone goes beyond individual users. Enterprises, governments, and organizations that prioritize security and transparency could adopt Linux Mint phones as a viable alternative to lockdown systems. The flexibility, combined with robust security and community support, makes it a compelling choice for environments where data integrity is critical. Despite all these advantages, Linux Mint Phone faces challenges. The smartphone market is notoriously difficult to penetrate. Convincing users to switch from established ecosystems like Android or iOS requires not just superior technology, but an ecosystem of apps, services, and support. Linux Mint Phone is actively addressing this by partnering with developers, creating app stores, and providing tools to port existing software to the platform. Moreover, user education plays a crucial role. Transitioning to a fully open-source smartphone is more than a hardware change. It requires a shift in mindset. Linux Mint Phone's team is investing in tutorials, documentation, and community engagement to ensure that users of all skill levels can feel comfortable navigating their new device. Another hurdle is performance perception. While the Linux Mint Phone is capable of running desktop-grade software, users accustomed to optimized, proprietary mobile apps may initially notice differences in responsiveness or battery management. However, with continuous development, kernel optimization, and community feedback, these issues are rapidly being addressed. In the long term, the modular, open-source nature of Linux Mint Phone allows it to evolve at a pace that proprietary systems simply cannot match. The Linux Mint Phone also has the potential to reshape the economics of the smartphone industry. By reducing dependency on proprietary ecosystems, users can reclaim control over their devices, software, and data. This shift could lead to a broader movement where open-source principles are prioritized in consumer technology, challenging the dominance of tech giants who currently control vast amounts of personal data. In conclusion, Linux Mint Phone represents more than just a new smartphone. It symbolizes a philosophical shift in how we approach technology. By combining the reliability and familiarity of Linux Mint with mobile hardware, it provides a viable open-source alternative to Android and iOS for users who value privacy, control, and sustainability. The Linux Mint Phone isn't just an option, it could very well be the future of personal computing in 2025, as we continue to rely on our devices for every aspect of daily life. From communication to work to entertainment, having a smartphone that respects our rights, empowers our choices, and evolves with us is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. The Linux Mint Phone is positioned to meet that need, offering a compelling vision of a smartphone that doesn't just serve its owner, but respects them as well.